Hey guys. So, alright. I wanted to do a video on white supremacy as well an overall means to win in. It's okay, that shit's about to hit the fan anyway, but and kind of its impact on spirituality, and thought forms in particular. I like focusing on thought forms because when I think about, especially astral projection, I think about how when you first get to a plane or when you're trying to navigate to a plane, it's a thought that takes you there first, and then it's whatever you associate with that thought, right? So, and that's, I'm talking about the etheric body at that ether, etheric, whatever. Yeah. So if you control the association with the thought, then you control the manifestation, right? It's also a form of spell work at that if you're controlling someone else's or even your own, okay? Because spell work is just energy projected, same as when you're astrally projecting, okay? Except it's your own projections at that, or so you think it is. So it's kind of fascinating the amount of spell work that they put on us for 400, 500 years, okay? And how we're just now starting to break out of that due to the influx of energy coming to our planet and time and space to be with self instead of having high levels of like trafficking energy coming in, when you're doing your day-to-day agendas that don't actually mean a thing. So yeah. And some books I've been reading that kind of expand on it a bit more is what is this? This is called Yorubu. Okay, and it's an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior by Marimba Ani. Okay, African World Books. And then this one's Intellectual Warfare, which I like to think of as spiritual warfare, right? Because I mean that's really kind of what it is. And by Jacob H. Caranthers, right? And like some examples of this, if you're thinking, okay, like I kind of see what you're saying, but like how does this apply in a 3D context? Like what's an example? Think of history books and how they rewrite the history and have you do like reports on it and basically have you live in that timeline and then regurgitate information for it, or how they have you fighting over red and blue politically, reliving that timeline and that angst and anger that the ancestors did. Think about totally rejecting like Kemet and the Egyptian way of life while simultaneously watching them dig up graves and put your people in museums, and or translate text from them and then use it as their system, as like what they call like modern day Christianity, which if you look up its origins, it wasn't what it is now, right? And so taking a sacred text and manipulating it to oppress people and to overall like just hold down all these other lineages while trying to like improve your own, right? And that's what white supremacy is. White supremacy is evil, right? It's not just, and it's witchcraft of the worst types. It's sorcery, as a professional high priestess would say. I love her. But yeah, and it's quite frustrating because when I think of, like I'm saying, like when I think of astral projection and having to sometimes, if you're trying to like do some astral alchemy stuff and just layer upon manifestations and increase kind of the span of time or energy that you spend there, really, and really flourish on a plane, same way as you could do on a 3D plane, really, it all has to do with those thought forms, right? Whereas if you look into more of ancient Kemet and their gods and goddesses, right? Because they weren't monotheistic, and and then think of like their concepts. They have such like an elaborate concept attached to one word, right? And imagine how far that can get you, as opposed to kind of the rational, logical language of English, really, you know? So even something as simple as that, because English still transmute into, you know, the dot forms. Yeah, we just gotta start thinking about things on like that type of level, you know? Kind of thinking how they think, really. And not being like them, but thinking about how they think and how far this has gone and why things are about to hit the fan the way they are, because things are gonna hit the fan, and then they deserve it. The system's gonna fall. Why do you? Yeah, I mean, they're already trying to go to Mars. They're already slowly talking about, oh, aliens. Sorry, I was on low power mode. Talking about how, oh, aliens exist when we already knew that, and not even tell you the truth about them. They're gonna probably make you think that, try to make you hate the aliens, when really that's not what you should be doing. Yeah, and then you know, when I was watching the Professional High Priestess live today, I mean, you should go check her out if you haven't, because she talks about this too in depth, and she knows a lot of these, like, knows a lot of facts about it. She's very brilliant. She talks about how, you know, that there's this little girl that did a report that was backed up by like Berkeley, I think, on how all the presidents are kind of related, right? So entities need to, an entity in a bloodline can manifest continuously if a part of that bloodline, really, you know, like, what the fuck are they doing? Thinking of it on that level. Blood magic too, in and of itself, and necromancy. So we can't even kind of contemplate the perils that have really went on a psyche, you know, our psyche, on our mental health, our spiritual health, physical health. So I just encourage you guys to oh, and also there's the great thing is that we are in the age of, we're going to be entering the age of Aquarius soon, but we're also in the age of a time where there's just so much access to knowledge, you know, PDFs and all that for free. And every time I say that, I think about Fahrenheit 451, where they would they burn books, right? The firemen would burn books, and it's such a good analogy for like what is going on right now, about the fact that it's like it's so subtle sometimes and so ingrained in the system, and we're just so used to it so long, so brainwashed, that they don't even have to burn the books. They just have to redirect you from them. They just have to refocus you and limit your interest in knowledge and knowing, right? Then they don't have to do any of that. So read the books, because knowledge is power, and us being spiritual beings are really going to need to transmute all this bullshit that they try to lead the spirit out of into spiritual forms, right? Like, look into quantum physics. That's literally all about us. All right, y'all. Peace, love, protection, spiritual warfare.